Hi guys, Hassan1 back at it once again with a brand new video for you, and welcome to episode, I think it's 14 now, of our Dre Plays for MotoGP 14's career mode. Last time you were with us, we had a bit of a mixed bag. We had a wet race in Catalonia, where I kind of struggled and had my worst result of the year in 9th. But we came back and we won at Assen, one of my favourite tracks in the game. Now, next up on the calendar, we head to Germany and the Saxon Ring. In the meantime, let's talk some MotoGP. Obviously, we just had Miasno this past weekend, the San Marino Grand Prix at the World Circuit. Miasno, Marco Simoncelli, obviously in tribute to the Afro man himself, who sadly is no longer with us. It was an interesting weekend. It wasn't particularly exciting race-wise. Unfortunately, we were never going to top Silverstone from a couple of weeks ago. But Miasno was more about the return of the king. Valentino Rossi getting his first win in 15 months, his first win since Assen last year. Only his second win in the last 4 seasons. You know, sometimes sport has special moments, you know, where everything comes together, everything goes right, and, you know, it's a fairy tale to a degree, and this was that fairy tale. Miasno shouldn't be a Yamaha track, but for some reason, like, Jorge Lorenzo is like, he breaks the form book around Miasno. He loves that place. But he put a harder front compound tyre on his bike, and that pretty much ruined him. And it just didn't work out for him in the end. Which, you know, he ended up about 2 seconds behind Valentino. But Valentino's race pace was superb the whole weekend. He'd actually qualified on the front row as well for the first time in a long time as well. So, you know, it was just nice to see him up there again, quite frankly. And, you know, I've never been the biggest Rossi fan in the world. I've always admitted that. I was more of a Sete Gibernau kind of guy. I've always said that. When I was growing up, I was into Kenny Roberts Jr. and Sete, and when I was growing up watching this sport. But that was special. I don't think there was a single person not cheering for Valentino to win that race at Miasno, his true home race. I mean, yeah, Mugello has a bigger turnout, but he lives literally 10 minutes away from Miasno. So for him to win there in front of his true hometown fans, I mean, the reaction, the whole track was buzzing. There was a track invasion. There was about 60,000 Italian fans down there, all worshipping their king. It was ridiculous, and the podium celebration was unlike anything I've ever seen in this sport. And I've been watching nearly 15 years. I have never, ever seen anything like it. It was unbelievable. A truly special moment in this sport to see Rossi up there at home. I mean, his first win at Miasno since 2009, I think it was. And only his second win since they've come back to Miasno as well. So, a truly special moment. In case you haven't seen it and wonder what happened to Marc Marquez, well, he binned it to a degree. Something I've not seen him do before, really. Simply put, he made a mistake. Marquez is known for riding at the ragged edge, but being able to know where the limit is. Often in races, he'll crash in practice, but he often gets it right for the race, and you could tell by the pace he was going on after he managed to get back on and keep going, that it's clear he was pushing beyond his limit to try and keep up with Rossi. And that's effectively what happened. He went too far, he leaned it a little bit too far, even for Marquez, and he binned it. It took him about 45 seconds for him to get it going again. He was nearly a lap down by the end of the race. But somehow he still came back and actually finished in 15th place. So Marquez did actually get a point. He kind of owes Alicia Espargaro one because Espargaro had to retire on the final lap of the race. It turns out that Marquez got bumped up to 15th, which got Marquez a point. Yeah, another incredible comeback, given that he lost all that bucket loads of time. But yeah, you know, Lorenzo second. Props to Lorenzo. I'm not a big Lorenzo fan at all. I think he's a bit of a moany shit, to be honest with you. But I have to admit, I have to give Lorenzo props for being really classy about it, and adding on top of that, him saying that, you know, he said even if he didn't choose the wrong compound tyre on the front of his bike, he wouldn't have been sure if he'd been able to beat Rossi today, on the day, basically. I'm paraphrasing a little bit there. But, you know, running down the rest of the field real quick, Pedrosa in third, solid result from Danny P. Best of the rest there. But Dovizioso is playing a blinder on that Ducati right now. I don't know whether it's a combination of just Ducati have found something with developing their bike being an open class runner, or whether it's just the fact that Dovi is just riding the nuts off that Ducati. I don't know which one it is. It could be either, quite frankly. But whatever it is, he's doing a superhuman job right now. I mean, he was only about a second behind Pedrosa and only 5 seconds off the win. When was the last time Ducati was within 5 seconds of a race win? Seriously, it's ridiculous. Iannone once again continues his brilliant second season with another top 5 result in 5th place as well. On pole Espargaro, another 6th for him. Bradley Smith, solid result in 7th. Reddin struggled a lot, actually, which is kind of sad to see. Apparently Reddin lost power in the bike after about 5 laps and was limping it home the whole way through, pretty much. I mean, that bike's already down on power as a production Honda. Like, the fact it's struggling even more now is even worse. I'm pushing this thing really hard, by the way, and I can't get up the field at the moment. More about Reddin in a little bit. I love that last corner, though. Past Agata. Past Simeon. Up into 7th. Oh, almost dropped it a bit too far there. Turn 1. But yeah, you know, overall, not the best race in the world. It's not... In fact, it was actually a pretty dull race beyond lap 2. Rossi's pass on Marquez down the back straight was the pass of the year so far, in my opinion. But that was pretty much the only real highlight after Marquez dropped it. Very wide there. Don't want that. But yeah, in Moto 2, Rabat seems to have really stepped it up now the second half of the season now. His racecraft has definitely gotten better. It was a very intelligent, shrewd bit of riding from Rabat. And, you know, Kallio broke off the early advantage again, but Rabat was able to claw him in, eventually pass him in Sector 2 and go on for the win. It was a very impressive performance. Just clean, aggressive, awesome stuff from Rabat. Like, Rabat was under a lot of pressure after Indianapolis. His gap was down to 7 points. Kallio was looking like he could, you know, be a sizable threat, but Rabat's responded perfectly. I think he's only the 4th rider ever to win 3 straight Moto2 races in a row, which I thought was a crazy stat. Ah! Knew that was going to happen. Oh, I've got to use 2 here because I put my finger on the accelerator when I was braking. Oh, I've gone a bit wide there. Did just set a track record though, which kind of helps. I'm not really thinking, I don't think I'm going to win this. But if I can get, I mean, it's an 8-lap race, which is lucky for me, because this is the shortest track on the calendar. Yeah, Moto2 Rabat was dominant, Kallio second again, Mark VDS have just got an incredible unit underneath them, they really do. Just dominant. I think they've won, 10 of 13 rounds this year have been won on a Mark VDS bike. It's just like Mercedes in Formula 1 this year. They're just ridiculously dominant. But, yeah, otherwise, Johan Zarco, I think, got another podium in 3rd place for Caterham. Good ride from him. Maverick Vinales, another very solid ride in 4th place. You know, the dude doesn't qualify well, but his race pace is superb, Maverick. It really is. And Thomas Luthi rounding off the top 5 in 5th, with Dominique Agata in 6th. Agata said he was never really comfortable out there on that Suter, and you know, it's sad because you know that they've announced that there's going to be a Moto2 super team for Swiss riders on it next year. Luthi and Agata coming together under one unit, which is going to be pretty fun actually. Just gonna get my braking in now. But yeah, like I said, it's just going to be fun to see how that one works out. But the thing is that they're deciding whether they want to run a Suter chassis or a Kalex chassis. And the thing that's really sad about that is that Moto2 was originally meant to be a series where you'd have a whole wide range of different chassis designs, coming through, and you'd have a real range despite it being a spec series. It'd be a bit like British touring cars where you'd have like 5 or 6 different manufacturers duking it out, and that would make it interesting. The annoying thing about that, whoa. The sad thing about that now is that it's quickly becoming a spec series because Kalex clearly have the best chassis. Suter are playing catch up. Speed up with Sam Lowe's just isn't good enough at the moment. And Sam Lowe's is like, he's telling his team, give me a bone here. If you're giving me a bone here, I wish I can get past these dudes. But the thing is, the whole thing in Moto 3 as well, the Galicia boys just dominated. The Galicia boys are just so good. Alex Marquez and Alex Rins have really stepped up this year. In the second half of the season specifically, Rins just beat Marquez. I think it was by 12. I think it was about 0.04 of a second over the line. Rins beat Marquez again. The two Galicia boys are so good though. And Jack Miller was in 3rd. Jack Miller doesn't look comfortable as championship leader right now. He's had points taken out of his lead now, like, for the last 3 rounds. And if it wasn't for Rins' boneheaded mistake in Brno, where he started celebrating a lap early, he could very well have had 3 on the bounce. It's now looking like Miller's under a lot of pressure from Rins and Marquez, and needs to chase it. Needs to start to catch up now. Jesus. My rear tyre is completely shot as well, which isn't helping. I just can't get close enough to Salom's back end here. But yeah, let's talk some news, shall we? First bit of news. Big news. Mark VDS are going to MotoGP next year. They've announced they are going into the top class. They are leasing out the factory Honda, that's the RC213V that all the top runners use. It's because Grassini are leaving Honda. They can no longer afford to keep leasing that factory Honda out. Probably because Bautista's crashed it so much. Wow. They keep leasing it out basically, and they can't afford to do that anymore. Was I come in 6th place here over the line? God, just didn't have enough in the bike and the tyres to get there, to be honest. But what can you do? But yeah, as I was saying, they can no longer afford to run it, so they've had to switch to Aprilia, because Aprilia are coming back for the factory to the factory team next year. Oh god, Cadio's now back ahead of me as well. Oh, great. Really got to win in Indianapolis now. But yeah, as I was saying, it's one of those things where, like, they can't afford it. So they're running the Aprilia bike next year, and they know that Bautista is going to stick with them through that, and he's going to be riding the factory Aprilia bike next year. It's going to be a hashtag prototype, basically, before they have a proper bike next year. So they're coming back a year early, basically. Scott Redding was going to come with that factory bike. Honda apparently are very, very high on Scott Redding. And that whoever was able to basically afford to be able to lease his bike would get Redding as part of the deal. I mentioned this before in a previous episode. It's a bit, like I said, it's a bit like having sex with Mila Kunis, but only if you get Jennifer Lawrence on the side. It's like, oh no, what a terrible deal. But in the meantime, you know, Mark VDS were able to get the funds together, get the sponsors together, and, you know, props to them. They managed to find a way to you know, afford the $10 million we're talking here. I think it's something like $10 million to be able to lease the bike, run as a new team, because you have to pay $1.2 million just to enter the top tier. And then the 3-year deal. It's a 3-year deal as well for Redding as well, so he gets 3 years. And obviously he's worked with Mark VDS before when he was in Moto2 last year. And if it wasn't for that unfortunate injury he took at Phillip Island, he probably would have gone on to win the Moto2 World Championship last year ahead of Pol Espargaro. But Redding is going to be on a factory-supported bike next year, which is fantastic news, because Scott Redding has had a brilliant year on that production Honda. He has taken that bike literally as far as he can possibly take it. It's a terrible bike, that production Honda, in comparison to the other guys in the top 10 who are running factory and satellite bikes. You know, it's just fantastic that Redding has been given this kind of opportunity, because he deserves that kind of opportunity. And I'm very glad that Mark VDS were able to get the money together to be able to run a bike. Which means all 3 major Brits in the top class next year are all going to be running on factory-supported bikes. Cal and Scott are going to be on the Honda, and then Bradley Smith is going to be on the Yamaha with Tech 3 for another year. So yeah, overall, fantastic news. You know, he's been doing a brilliant job and he deserves it. Yeah, we'll keep the gear as it is, actually. But yeah, he's been doing an absolutely superb job. So much play to Scott Redding. He absolutely earns it. Yeah, and you know, I'm really happy for him. And you know, seeing him up the front next year on a Mark VDS bike is going to be fantastic. I'm not sure about Aprilia, mind you. In other transfer-related news, Alex Rins, as the rumours was suggested, is true. He has signed a deal with Pons next year, so he's going to be with part of the Pons Moto2 team, replacing Maverick Vinales. So, I mean, I was wondering, were they going to run 3 bikes next year, or were they going to run 2 with a departure? That's kind of confirmed it, that Maverick's out. So, whoa. That wasn't ideal. So yeah, like I said, Maverick is now leaving, which means it's almost a dead certainty now that Vinales is going to Suzuki next year. Suzuki running their 2 factory bikes again next year. They're coming back. It's looking like their team is going to be Alicia Espargaro and Maverick Vinales. That's pretty much confirmed Vinales. Apparently Espargaro's still in talks. We don't know. So apparently Suzuki said they're not going to reveal their lineup properly until at least the end of September, I've been told. Whoa! Jesus, that's dumb of me. So, you know, we're not going to know Suzuki's full lineup for at least another couple of weeks, but it's pretty much a dead certainty that Vinales will be one of the 2, and Alicia Espargaro will most likely be the more experienced second name. So, you know, Rins and Marquez both in Moto2 next year, the second and third in the Moto3 Championship. Whoa! I'm running this thing a little bit too hard at the moment. I'm a bit rusty, to be honest. I've not played this game properly in a good while. I recorded my last episode like nearly 2 weeks ago. I did it in advance, so just using my natural talent to get by, apparently. Got a much better run out of that corner, though. My goodness. There's Salom. There's Alex. There's Sam Lowe's coming through. Not his brother Alex, mind you. Using World Superbikes. Corsi, Nakagami. And now Simeon. Maybe. If I can... to get a tighter line. But yeah, overall, it's an interesting one as well, and there's more stuff to get through as well. Eugene Laverty from World Superbikes is going to Aspar next year. No word yet on who he's replacing. I've not heard anything about whether he replaces Hiroshi Ayama or whether he replaces Nicky Hayden. I don't know yet. I just saw it got announced this morning officially that Laverty will be joining them next year. So one Laverty on the way out as Michael leaves because Aprilia bought out Paul Bird Motorsport, that team. So one Laverty out, one Laverty in. So we're going to have 4 British riders on the field next year. Or, yeah, British technically, because I know the Laverty brothers are Northern Irish. So technically part of Britain. Also heard Danny Kent is going to be getting a factory Honda package next year in Moto3, which is fantastic as well. So nice to see Danny Kent will be getting top tier support and a brand new sponsor. So, you know, for those following the Brits, Danny Kent gets a lot of love next year, which would be fantastic. Also, I think they've also confirmed that Racing Team Germany that they're going to keep John McPhee for another year as well. So again, if you're following the Brits, good to see. Also, I'm enjoying this slipstream. That's the highest speed I think I've ever hit in a Moto2 bike. 301 kilometers an hour. That's 185 mph. Alright, got to get up to Agata, Kallio. Oh my god, they're going 4 wide through there. Luti and Cortese, I think, there. What is going on there? Got to get past Mr. Dirt Slider himself, Dominique Agata. Still waiting for confirmation on Jack Miller as well, but it's looking more and more likely that Jack Miller's going to the top class straight away with LCR on a production Honda. I don't know why Jack Miller would skip Moto2. I don't think he's that much better than the rest of the field. I don't think he's even the best guy in that tier now. God, Kallio is getting into a right dogfight. Out of the way, Dominique. I said this in my last season race here. I'm like so much gladder that they don't have the frame rate drops around this track anymore. Like in last year's game, that was really irritating. Out of the way, Kallio. I'm so much faster coming out of the last corner, which definitely helps. Cortese getting a bit over defensive there, sweeping. 303 kilometers an hour. The inside, they're going 3 wide. Cortese, oh, I braked way too late for that corner. They might come back on the inside of me. Might cut back on Vinales as well. This is a great scrap for second. Maverick, you crazy Maverick. Down the inside, yes. I keep getting on the frigging grass here. It's ridiculous. I'm so bad with getting my apexes right now. I need to start playing this game more often again, man. Alright. Now, can we chase down Tito Rabat for the win? We need to start picking him off, man, because You know, I think he's something like 19 points ahead of us at the moment, because me coming in 6th at Germany wasn't a good result at all. But I know I'm really good around this last part of the track, and I've got 3 laps to do it, so let's see if I can put some pressure on him now. So we've cleared Maverick Vinales there in 3rd place. The tyres aren't wearing out as bad as they were last time around. Also, I've kind of run out of things to talk about as well, but if you look at the MotoGP World Championship for a minute now, Marc Marquez's gap has gone down from 89 to 74 points as a result of his 1-point haul at Aragon and Pedrosa coming in 3rd. So that, unfortunately, as I was kind of hinting at last episode, Marquez can't win it in his home track at Aragon next week now, because even if he did win and everyone else dropped off the bike, for instance, he'd have a 99-point lead with 100 points available. But it's looking almost for sure he will win it at Honda's own home track, Motegi. Don't get me wrong, sucks you can't win it at home, but that's probably the next best thing, your team's home base. I'm pretty sure Honda own the Motegi circuit, so that's like, that would be their house. Even if the whole thing just has the element of, well, it's not when it's not if it's when, really, Marquez wins it. And then we've got the drop on the Rabat here. 190 miles an hour into turn 1. We're almost reaching old school 500cc levels of speed here now. Alright, Tito. Doesn't help, I may just realise now I'm also out of flashbacks. No pressure. Come on. You're getting that draft again. Oh, better on the brakes on Rabat down that one. Is he going to cut back down the inside? Oh! This is a fantastic scrap. Gonna hang Rabat out to dry here. I know I'm faster in this part of the track. Oh, we're back again down the inside. Got a better run out of the exit. This is going to be a fun final lap. Rabat's got the slipstream on me. Oh. Oh, Rabat round the outside. The fans going wild here. This could very well end in tears if this keeps up. And my rear tyre is hanging on by a thread right now. Oh, there's a bump. Have we got the draft to win it again? I like the fact it gives me a deeper line for the next right-hander. Rabat's coming around the outside again. Not quite. Just got to hang on in there a little bit longer. Right, power down, hard. Has Rabat got the legs to do it? I don't think he's got enough. Yes, we take the win. No phantom wins this time. No terrible timing screens. Whew. Man, that was a good hard fight. 2/10 in it between me and Rabat, but we just about get the W there. Maverick Vinales third, Mika Kallio fourth, just ahead of Thomas Luthi in fifth, Agata sixth, Cortese seventh, Salom in eighth, and Simone Corsi in ninth. Wow, that was a good hard scrap. Back ahead of Kallio again by 10 points, which is great. We're only 14 behind Rabat's 201 now. We need to start taking more points out of Rabat soon, otherwise we're going to get swamped. But I'm very happy with that result. Needed that one. Another 28,000 fans as well. So the more fans, the better. You need to get the big fans before you start getting, getting towards the top end of the field. Yeah, the MotoGP as well. I think it's like 1.5 million fans for the top end seats. But I'm really glad I got that W to round off the episode, because that was getting a bit hairy. And that's the hardest I've had to ride a motorcycle on the limit against that fight with Rabat. I was pushed to the absolute wall to win that one. Whew. Good hard race. Now, have a look here. Is there any team that wants me? MotoGP offers from Iota, from Cardian, Paul Bird Motorsport, Avintia. So nothing from the top boys yet, obviously. So it's just the really minor MotoGP teams at the moment. I wouldn't mind Pramac if they came knocking. That would give me something. That would give me something to work with. But that's like last year's friggin' Pramac. Like, that's the really good one. So yeah, it's only Iota, Cardian, Paul Bird, and Avinta, the bottom runners in MotoGP, and they're just not worth it. I'm guessing everyone on the board will be offering me a seat now in Moto 2. Obviously, except Pons, but yeah, you go. There's Technomag on Suter and then Mark VDS. I'm gonna stay with my. Well, you know, I'm gonna stay on my current team. I haven't really got a reason to switch at the moment. I'm going to MotoGP when the end of the season rolls around, I suppose. But yeah, I think that'll do it for this episode. My fingers are hurting. But man, that was a great result. Needed that in terms of the championship battle. Next up, we have Bruno and we have Silverstone. But until then, I've been Harrison101. Thank you very much for watching, and I'll catch you guys next time. Sayonara.